Hi everybody, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude in part 4 of the Airfix 1/48 scale Spitfire Mark 12. So where I left off last time was completing 17. Then it's off to part 18, which is the propeller, gluing the fuselage halves together, and working on the wings. Now I had all of those on video. However, at some point it flipped sideways. So in order not to make everybody sick, I scratched all those, and I'll just tell you what I've done so far, starting at step 18. I sprayed the propeller tips yellow with Tamiya XII, taped those off, then I sprayed the prop blades with my mixture of black XF1 and clear X22 to give it kind of a semi-gloss. And then I used a brush and painted the hub using Model Air Silver. So we got that. The spinner and the base plate are ready to go for primer and paint later. So after I did that, I glued up the fuselage halves, and that all went well. I used my usual method of gluing just a portion at a time. I started here actually. There. Clamped it, made sure it was all lined up as good as possible. Glued the front, glued this. That part's not as crucial because this part here goes there like that. Then I glued this, or I started here on the tail, did that, worked my way down, made sure that was all clamped and smooth. Same thing here. Now I've got some panel line engraving to do, which will be quite easy because the panel lines line up perfectly, so I don't have to worry about anything weird there. Then I started working on the wings. Did test fit, everything works really good. I've got a little tiny bit of filling to do here, and then the wing tips here, I'm gonna have to do a bit of sanding on that because there's a step there. So I'll do that, and there's a natural panel line there, so I'll have to rescribe that. Then I'm gonna do the same thing right over here. So that's where I am right now. So let me show you how I handled that. So the wingtips, I just cut the pieces off, and I'll get those cleaned up, or get that cleaned up. And one thing that's kind of nice is they've kind of made it difficult to screw it up and put the wrong wingtip on the wrong side because they are handed. It's a little flatter on the bottom than on the top. So the cool thing is, this side has 2 pegs fit in there. This side had 1. So while I'm waiting for some of this other stuff to dry, I decided to cut the pilot out and see how he's going to fit in the grand scheme of things. And it looks like he will be just fine. Fits down in there. I had to carve some folds off the britches there in order to fit around the control stick, but he fits in there just fine, just like that. And I've already done some trimming and fitting and stuff like that for the arms, so I should be okay there. So, whoops, once I get them glued together, I did some cleanup on them. Once I get them glued together, then I'll be able to throw some primer on him when I do the rest of it. So I've started rescribing these panel lines on the wingtips. I'm basically using this little straight edge, lining it up where line goes. Holding it firmly. And using this scriber, can't remember the brand. And being very patient. Lightly scribe it a few times to get it started, and voila, there you go. The nice thing is the back edge of this is like sawtooth, so you can really clean the panel line out. Then smooth it out a little bit and just clean it out further. And once you get it to the point you want it, just use a little, to me, extra thin, and smooth it out. And that'll get any of the burrs and dusty plastic bits out of there. Like that. Okay, so with that done, I don't think, yeah, my putty job there isn't ready to go. So I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to move on to step 26 and start putting some of these extra parts on, like the exhausts, these covers here, the cover down the middle top. So let's start with A46. Then I need A53 and 54. So I got these engine bulges all cut out. So now, time to glue them in place. There's that one. These need some care when cleaning up because they're really thin on the edges. Okay, those are in place. So now I need to do the exhaust. So we've got A34 and 35. So let's do 34 first. And see what we have. So, whoops. Here's what we have. So I need to, some aircraft have like a seam along this outer edge, but I need to look and see if that's the case with these. And these are solid on the end, which means they're going to need a little bit of work to haul them out. So in looking at photos, it looks like there is a seam on there, like a weld seam. So I'm not going to mess around with those, but I am going to drill these horrible things out. And here's what I'm going to do. Start a little pilot hole here. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to drill 2 holes and then cut it out a little bit. So this is one of those things where aftermarket would be jolly, but wow, poked my finger, it didn't even bleed. Let's see, where was I? Yeah, I'll skip right to the drill. So I'm going to get one of my good bits out. That one blue set's pretty horrible. But I got to find one of the appropriate size. Without it being too thin. Let's try this one. All right, let's see what I can do here. There we go. This is one of those things that I just really hate doing sometimes. Alright, so what I've decided to do here, instead of trying to drill these out, I'm using this Dremel tool, micro, cordless, this ultra tiny bit in it. Can't remember what it's called. But anyway, I already did it on this one here. I did it real shallow, but I think it'll work, especially because, you know, not gonna be looking at it dead on very much, and from the angle, it looks pretty good. Let's see. I think it'll work, especially once I get it, you know, smokied up and all that kind of stuff. But I'm using I'm just being really careful here. Starting on this side because of the rotation. I'm just working it back and forth and hoping it doesn't flip off the edge like it just did. So there we go. That'll work. And for those who think, oh, you're gonna melt the plastic, well, no, it's not melting the plastic at all, and it's not gumming up the bit either. So I'm gonna continue on with this. And then once I have it all bored out to the amount I want, I'll just run a little bit of that on there to smooth it out. So this one's dry now, so let me go ahead and glue this one in. And for this, I'm going to use this cement here. Like that. Alright, so I've got that. I think now I need to put this clear piece in here. So let's get that cut off. And then when it comes to painting, I will make a little teeny tiny mask for it. So there is that. So now I just need to put a little glue on it. Alright, so now I'm going to glue the wings on. And this back here is kind of a weird fit. So I think I'm going to have to do a little scraping. I already did some. So I can minimize this seam as much as possible because it's right on the edge and it's kind of not looking like it'd be the easiest thing to sand. Okay, that's better. And I may have to do a little bit of filling. No, that should be okay. Just may have to sand it and scrape it some. As long as I can get these closed up good enough. There's some little see how that fits. Yeah, that's better. So I'll start with one side here. What I'm going to have to do is make sure I get these panel lines underneath lined up properly. Let's see how that works. Yeah, it's a little bit better. Got a little bit of a step right there. I might just have to sand that off. I don't know. We'll see. But for now, let's glue this side. going to do one side at a time because I want it to fit real snug. So let that dry a bit. Let's take a look at this side here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this side at the same time. Hold that for a bit. All right, so I got this all fitted. Got this wing root glued. And as you can see, it fit together really pretty nicely. Probably have to scribe it a little bit maybe, but we'll see. So as soon as that one dries up, then I'll put some tension on this one and get this one glued up. All right, so I got the wings glued on, got the joints all taken care of, and I'm going to let those cure up for a day at least so they get nice and hard before I start trying to rescribe them. I've also got this filled in and this filled in, but I also want to let that cure really well before I try and start sanding that, because this stuff can stay soft for a little while. It's still soft right now, and I'll probably have to add a little bit more. So right now I am working on the panel lines that got erased during sanding of the seams down the spine and down the center of the bottom of the fuselage. And I'm doing that with this same tool here, and it seems to be doing a really good job. As you can see here, it's working around nicely. So what I'm doing is I'm basically taking the saw portion of it, and it's easy to control, and just running it right across over to the other side. Do that a few times just to get like a starter line, and then just simply pull it across like that. And you have yourself a really nice panel line. And just to let you know what it looks like, let me get it up close here to the camera. This is what it looks like. This back side is like a saw edge, and then that is what you can do your panel line. What it does is it scores material out of the plastic instead of just pushing it aside, so you don't end up with that weird ridge. So really it's kind of a cool tool. Glad I got it. So again, it's just a matter of scoring it with the saw edge, and then rescribing it thusly. Nice. All right, the wings are glued on. I got these filled and sanded. I also got this portion here filled and sanded. The dark spot there is paint, so it should be nice and sealed up. Got a little bit more sanding to do right here, and I'm just using my sanding sticks. These little thin ones because they can get into tighter corners a little easier. Using a medium one and then a fine one. Got that filled there. And then I got my panel lines rescribed. I just need to clean this one out a little bit. All right, so there's that. I think that is all good. So I need to rescribe this, but I need to figure out, well, I need to fill that. That's kind of a pretty gnarly gap there. So I got to figure out how I'm going to fill that up. Let me take a look. I put a piece of tape on this side here just to keep it from oozing out too much, and I filled it in there. So I'm going to let that cure up. Then I can sand it down and redo my panel lines. Need to freshen these up here. So I need to let that dry a little bit. All right, so this has had time to dry, and so I filled in good there. I'm not sure if there's supposed to be a panel line there or not, but I'm going to rescribe it to match that just in case. Looks like it might. But whoops. I'm going to sand this down a little bit and see if it needs to be filled more, because just like any other putty, it's sunk down a little bit, it looks like, but I think it's thick enough that it's okay. So we'll see here, and then I'll just rescribe that along with everything else on this wing root panel line here. All right, so this looks pretty good. So now I can rescribe this. I got it started with this. Now it's just a matter of like that. Smooth it out a little bit so there's not a ridge. And then lightly clean the dust out. And then once I get them all rescored, then I can use my Tamiya Extra Thin to smooth it out. All right, excellent. So now with all that done, I can move on to gluing in the machine gun and cannon barrels. And then move on to step 27. All right, so I got these cannons all smoothed out. So I'm gonna put those in place, and let's see. Well, let's do this. That there. That there. And then these little nubby things here. I don't even know what these are because these sure aren't guns. But should put these in first. There we go. They're really tight. Let me sand it off just a little bit. So any of you out there watching, if you can tell me what these things are, I'd appreciate it, because I have absolutely no idea what these things are supposed to be. Okay, there we go. It's pretty good. I gotta say, at least it's a nice snug fit here. There we go. Whoops. Make sure they're parallel. All right, so there is that. So that completes this page here, which is 23, 24, 25. So the next part is step 27. So with that, since we're getting close to 40-ish minutes here, I think, I am going to stop here at step 26. So next time when we come back, we'll start at 27 and work our way from there. So as always, thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and the Airfix Spitfire Mark 12. So again, if you have any hints, tips, etc., put them in the comments section down below. I'd really appreciate it. If you have any experience with this kit or know what these weird little nubby looking things are here, that would be a good thing to know. So until next time, thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.